vision. He said there are 4 stages to your vision. There are 4 different phases of your life. See, one of the things that we don't understand, God will begin to speak to us and God will begin to move in us, and we just think that by the end of the week this thing ought to be finished and we ought to be living, Tom, right up on top of it. And God said, you need to understand something, that I had the vision ready for you long before I ever made you. Now I got to spend some time and get you ready for the vision. See, you need to understand, God can't just release into your life everything that he's prepared for your life, because if he would just release all of that stuff into your life, you would waste it, you would abuse it, you wouldn't understand how to use it, you wouldn't understand how to operate in it. And so God will prepare, like he prepared the earth before he ever made Adam. God has prepared a vision for your life. He's prepared a journey for you to go on, and now he's getting you ready to release some stuff. God told me a long time ago, he said, I'm just getting you ready for what I've already got ready for you. See, you don't know what I'm talking about. God told me that about 20 years ago, Mama. God said, because I was sitting there, here I wasn't but maybe 7, 8 years into the ministry, and I thought, my God, I ought to be there by now. Come on, somebody. You know what I'm talking about. I thought, I ought to be there by now. God, how come it ain't there? He said, I'm getting you ready for what I've already got ready for you. He said, you're not ready yet. I can give you some snapshots of it. I can tell you a few little truths about it. I can give you a little bit of an illustration, a little mini movie every now and then if it's all right. But you need to understand that there's some transitions that you need to go through. There's some times that you got to go through. There's some seasons that we got to go through in life. And I began to look at David the other day as the Lord began to show this to me. And he said, there are 4 seasons in your life. And I said, Lord, what are you talking about? Begin to talk to me. And God began to take me back to David and Goliath. And here's Goliath as he's down there. And the Bible says that Israel was on one side of the mountain, and there was a big valley over there. And they said that Goliath was over on the other side. And Goliath used to come out every day and taunt them. You ever had a devil that just wouldn't shut up? You ever see, now you need to understand why it was that the devil showed up in Goliath in chapter 17. I didn't get it for years. I didn't understand it, Jason. I thought, Lord, this is just something that was going on. But I began to find out something. I found out over there in 1 Samuel chapter 17 that the reason that Goliath showed up in chapter 17 was because Samuel showed up in chapter 16. Yeah, see, you don't know what I'm talking about there, but in chapter 16, see, the devil found out that God already had a plan for David. See, in chapter 16, Samuel goes down to Jesse's house, and he says, Jesse, have you got any sons? He said, yeah, I do. And he begins to parade everybody in front of the prophet that he thinks is going to possibly be somebody. And how many of you know that Samuel looked at Jesse and said, well, there ain't nobody here that really impresses me. There just doesn't look to appear to be anybody here that can do anything that God needs them to do. And he said, have you got anybody else? And he said, yeah, I do, but he's a weird little fella. See, you can't relate to that, but I can. I can relate to somebody looking and saying, he's a little bit strange. He dances to the beat of a different drum. He doesn't do it just the way everybody else. I got 7 sons over here, and they all do it the same way. But now that David, that boy is just weird. That boy will go out and dance with a tree if he thinks God's hanging around it anywhere. He's a weird little praiser. And so Samuel says, bring him in front of me. And we know the story. Samuel comes up and he sees David, and God says, anoint him. How many of you know that God will anoint you when everybody thinks you're a nobody? I said, God will anoint you when your own daddy don't respect you. God will anoint you when nobody around you likes you. God will anoint you when nobody around you thinks that you're worthy to be used. When nobody around you thinks you got anything to offer. When nobody around you thinks you're ever going to go anywhere or you ever going to be anything. God will be sneaking up behind you in the midnight of your life, pouring oil on you by somebody that you ain't never met before. Some old gray-haired man, gray-haired lady going to sneak up behind you with it and start pouring oil down on your head. And when you didn't know that you was nobody, God said, I got a plan for you. Here's David, 16 years old, already got a crown on his head and still ain't looking even for a kingdom. the devil world. How many of you know in the devil world news travel quickly? Yeah, it does. Just mess up one time. See, you can do good for 20 years and nobody tell anybody about it. But you mess up one time, I promise you, there are going to be a bunch of little devils running around all over saying, you know what mama did? You know what mama didn't even have to do it, but somebody going to say, you know what mama did? Devil started running around talking to Goliath. He said, you better get something going here to change the subject. He said, you don't understand. He said, you got that old prophet over there, and he's trying to anoint a new king. God is trying to do a new thing in this country. You better get that old king busy. And so the Bible declares that Goliath got out, and he started taunting him. He started taunting. You know, the devil will just raise up in your face and get indignant if you. He will just get arrogant if you will let him. Do you want me to tell you what Israel's problem was? They stood there and listened to it. I'm just about tired of listening to what the devil has to say. And I'm even more tired of hearing church folk repeat it. I'm tired of hearing people coming to church talking about, you know, the devil told me the other day we ain't never going to make it. Well, you know, I don't know what you're going to make, but I know where I'm headed. I know where I'm because I'm already there.